Welcome back. Uh, it's currently February 28th, and I've been pushing off this video this entire month, but I wanted to post monthly, updating my goals and my filmmaking journey. And yeah, I wanted to post it before February ends, so here I am. So just an update on everything. December and January it's been pretty tough. As I talked about in my last video, I have been working on my next short film, Yokai, which I started developing the script back in July, last summer. And since then, it has evolved a lot. And it's been quite the journey. I found myself at a pretty good place in December on version 6 of the script. And I sent it out and I had people read it, a lot of my close friends and other creatives and filmmakers and artists and everybody that I trusted and wanted feedback on. And I'm not gonna lie, the responses there were good responses, but the main critiques, I guess I didn't take too well. Not that I didn't appreciate any of them. I appreciate all feedback, and I think writing in my head and what I imagine is one thing, but the reader and how they imagine it is another. So, and this story that I'm telling is very personal to me, as I feel like any writer, and the words that they put down on the canvas. And it wasn't landing the way I wanted it to. And one of the main feedbacks that I took to heart was that the climax and the aesthetic emotion that I was trying to build wasn't landing. And I kind of struggled with that for quite some time, because I don't know, when I was developing the script, I was in tears at the climax, and I that's when I finally got the third act and what I wanted the story to be and what the story told me I wanted it to be. I knew it was a love story, and I saw the potential of its beauty and what I wanted to say. And yeah, but it wasn't landing, and I felt like I was bleeding onto the paper. I was pushing myself, and I'm constantly trying to learn the art of storytelling, because I am a storyteller and I want to refine my craft, and I want to tell my story and the universal truth. But it's hard. I mean, anyone can tell you that writing is hard. And the difference between my first, I guess, experimental short film Mapo Tofu was great. I mean, it was I guess it was the peak of my visual storytelling ability, and I am proud of it. But for this story and each short film that I intend to write and create into existence, I want it to be better. I want it to be better. So there was a lot more world building, a lot more character development. I am so thankful to have such great people around me to give me such feedback, because, you know, the way I see the development of a story is that feedback and the words that come back to me are very important. I see it as the story itself speaking back to me and what it wants to be. And even if it comes through different voices and different perspectives, I feel like there is truth to everything that everyone says. And I don't discriminate. I don't know if that's the right word. I don't take it lightly. You know, every thought, every feeling, whether they're confused, or if they're confused, then that means there needs to be more clarity. You know, if something is clear, then if there's stuff that I want to speak clearly about, it's what comes through to them. But yeah, it was tough though, because the story is so personal to me. I feel like through writing, I've been bleeding on the paper, bleeding on the canvas of my art. And it's not easy to, you know, constantly get feedback that it's not landing and that people are confused and all that. But it was telling me something, you know, it needs more clarity at the end of the day. And as much as I don't want to lay the truth in front of my audience, and I want my art and my films to provoke people, as much as I want to provoke them, I don't want them just to be confused, you know? So it was tough. It was a tough winter, and it's been cold and it's been snowing, and I'm sick of the snow. I want to be in the sun. You know, the sun really gives me energy. I can't go outside, cooped up in my house, just in my head about, you know, what am I doing wrong? Like, how can I make this better? And, you know, if I'm not enough and all that, blah, blah, blah. And during this time, I actually just finished a writing class as well, with Jack Grapes, and it was, I don't want to say life-changing. A lot of people told me that it was going to be life-changing and blah blah and all that. If anything, what the class told me was that I'm doing it right. You know, even before one of the first lessons, one of the first techniques, I guess, of method writing was to tap into our deep voice. And even before the class, I think I was touching upon that, you know, through my journals, and through the process. And that's really what kickstarted me to get to the third act. And it was reinforcing to take a class with Jack and I don't know, strengthen that core part of the process in me. Because with the deep voice, it comes with it's literally for 2 weeks we just journaled, about where we are, what we're doing, and breaking down transformation lines. And it was healing, and it is very therapeutic. And I've never been the type to journal, but I understand the appeal now, and I understand why people do it, and it is a part of my process now, to learn about myself and my words to speak back to me, because that's what I truly felt when I was first uncovering the truth behind Mapo Tofu. And when I sat down and I had to submit Mapo Tofu to Film Freeway and I don't know, try to publicize it, it required me to take an X-ray and understand what was going on in the film, because all I did during that process was just kind of like regurgitate or like just vomit like the words and images that were coming into my head. And I want to say a huge part of it was very subconscious, tapping into the subconscious and the state of my mind. And that's what I fell in love with when I first wrote that script. So yeah, it was a process that I worked backward towards, and this time with Yokai and writing the script, I'm trying to work it forward, and understand why I'm writing the things that I wrote, where they were coming from inside of me, and a lot of things revealed itself through it, and it's been. I've had so many cathartic moments writing it, literally tears running down my face at 5 a.m. Just writing the words that came to me. But it's not finished yet, and the hard thing about writing really good stories and creating art that I don't think a lot of people talk about is that the audience connects with the story, and the truth is prominent, I guess, when you bleed onto the paper. And I was bleeding. I was bleeding a lot. And to the point where I think I was dried out, and I kept cutting myself constantly to get more blood out, more than I had, all energy and time, and that caused a lot of stress. Because I felt like it wasn't enough. And that took a toll on my confidence as well, and it was just a really dark, cold winter, let's just say. And of course there was other things going on, like producing another short film for my friend's friend, and life situation. But what I'm trying to get at now is that I feel like I'm in a much better place, which is great, because I'm ready to get back at it again. And I understand that in order to pursue, greatness, ingenuity of being a writer-director is perseverance And I think out of all my quality traits that I am most proud about is my perseverance. And I will see this film through the end. And when I'm done with this project, I will keep on to the next, because I'm back to that point where I'm excited about this film again. You know, and I think I lost that for a moment, but it is, we're back. And I know I'm near the end of this process, and I've been wanting to start storyboarding, which is like personally one of my favorite parts about pre-production is storyboarding and drawing it out. But another thing that I learned was that this is a long process and it requires patience. Filmmaking requires a lot of love. Story requires a lot of love. And at the end of the day, when I am screening it to my friends and showing it to other people, I know that it will show. You know, even if the people watching it won't know me or know what went into it and only watch the product, and even if they take, you know, one single thing out of it, they will, because of everything that I'm bleeding onto the paper and the people that are helping me make this film. So I learned that love is patient. You know, I have to be patient. And a part of me, you know, I'm always rushing into things, you know, not just filmmaking, but, you know, with life, relationships, like goals, you know, I'm always running to the product. Like, that is the reason why I'm doing it, but it's not. It's the process that I love and that I enjoy, and I felt making Mapo Tofu, and that requires, you know, time for myself to take a step back, relax, watch some movies, be with friends, call family, you know, do the things that I love, because I do have a life outside of filmmaking, and it is the life that I have outside of it that really fuels my stories at the end of the day, right? So it is important to me that I have a life outside of it. And it is, and that's the thing I really I love about this. I love about film because it really feels like the parent I never had, in a sense, you know. And that's another thing that I learned about myself through this process. You know, I recently went through a loss, and I've been spending a lot of time alone, and I've learned a lot about myself through the process of filmmaking, about me as a character and the character that I want to be, you know, in my story, you know, which is perseverant, which is loving, patient. And that's why I know I'll be making films and telling stories for the rest of my life, because it grows with you, and it grows with me. And at the end of the day, it's the stories that we end up telling is really a reflection of you, and it's really a reflection of me and your inner cosmos of how you view the world and people and emotions and what it means to be human, and a deep understanding of life. And if I do it right, if I live life and get closer to the truth, then I know I'm doing something right. So my point is, I guess, that I'm back in a place where I'm ready to tell my story again. And I'm close. It's just it's a very complex film. It's a very complex story. A lot of things are happening. I'm talking about a lot of big things, being that of love and existentialism, you know, to the point where the friends that I tell about this project and have told about the script, blah 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 and everything, are worried about me, and my producers even suggested, you know, splitting the story into 3 different films, and this could be a feature film, which honestly I took as, wow, like, okay, I have something fucking good here. But no, I don't want to do that. I want to tell the story that I believe it was meant to be, you know, in this 12 to 15 minutes that I'm shooting for. And I don't know, I'm realizing that when people tell me I can't do something and it's not possible, the more I want to do it. I guess that's the stubborn part of me. I don't know whether, I guess it could be a good or bad thing in different situations, but I'm determined to tell the story the way I have written down, and I think that is my strength, and I will play to that, you know. If I do it correctly, down, and that means down to every second and every beat, every moment, every line, every action has to deliver meaning and impact, and I think I can do that. No, I believe I can do that. I know I can do it. Not me telling myself all of this. But yeah, and I know through the process and through all the feedback and through what the story is telling me that it is possible, and it's gonna be fucking great when the project happens, you know, when it comes to life, when it becomes. So I'm excited. I'm telling you all of this to tell you how excited I am about this. There's truth to this, and I hope that when the people, my audience, watches it, that they'll feel it. But yeah, I think one of the things that I'm really teaching myself through this process is 2 things about story. One is moment, and the second is character. I'll start with moment because that is kind of what this story centers around. It's centered around one moment, and one of the cool things about life and about filmmaking and through this whole process of making art is that it was through Jack Grapes' method writing class that gave me more of this conviction to a moment, you know, because my end product, I don't know what it's gonna be. I don't know where I'm gonna be in about 40 years with, and then even the next 10 years with this filmmaking, and what stories I'll be telling. But each short film that I make, I know is a process, you know, even the end product of Mapo Tofu and what Yokai is going to be, and all the stories that I have planned to tell, they're all going to be the process. What the product is going to be, I don't know. At my deathbed, I guess death is the product. I don't know what it's going to be, but everything is a process. You know, I am the process, and I have to love the process. I have to love myself. So anyways, I'm saying all that to say that I am working on building just one moment, a story around one moment, and the image of that. Well, the second thing that I learned of the techniques of method writing is image moment and building that. And the course was definitely, I mean, it's centered around you know, writing stories. Definitely more of narratives in novels and all that, or prose and poetry, but it connects to storytelling at a universal level. And of course, like my brain, everything that I'm learning is, you know, geared to how can I connect this to film and my craft. And there was obviously also, it also applies to screenwriting, the class, but because it's writing, everything's writing. But the image that I love that Jack taught was that stories, films are made up of, is made up of story, and stories are made up of events, scenes, and each scene and event is made up of moments, and each moment is made up of images. And we learned, and I practiced how to embellish a single image moment. You know, the ambiance, the feeling, the emotions, the mood, the character, the set dressing, the prop, everything that really enriches just a frame, a single frame in what is it? I don't know what it's called, of a film stock. I don't know, because movies are just a bunch of images next to each other, just playing motion, to its most basic core. And through that process of learning about image moment, has kind of changed the anatomy of my brain and how to really hone in on the story that I'm writing about a singular moment that defines my character, and it's not just one moment, I would say. There are two moments in the story. One being the death of Jade, and the other being the moment that they dance together at the end. A beautiful, beautiful moment, I want to say. Just hyping myself up. But yeah, and and this is what I'm talking about, the whole process of things. It's the I'm working on the small building blocks of what I'm about, what I will create. Another thing that I learned from the book Story that I'm reading by Robert McKee, which I haven't finished because I took a break from it, trying to do all the other shit in my life, was that, you know, he also emphasizes that the stories are made up of sequences and events and moments, and it's all, if another thing that Robert McKee talked about was that it's the more restriction and the more confinement you have, the more creativity is allowed to explode. I don't know. I think there's something really beautiful about that, about art. And I think this is something that I thought about today while I was at the cafe, while I was drawing, which I'm just gonna show you guys what I drew today, because I'm proud of it, and I need to show someone. What's this? I don't know. It's the Strawberries, a band, a little play on words and play on imagination of the band the Cranberries, which I love to listen to, but you know, I it's like, the analogy that I can think of is when I look at a huge canvas, I don't know, 8 feet by 12 feet, I don't know, canvas. It drives me that I want to draw something on there, put something on there. I want to make art on it, but I'm so overwhelmed with like what to put on it. You know, there's just so much space, so much empty space, so much white. But when I have a canvas that's, I don't know, like 4 by 3, there's just, I can start drawing something, and more detail I can put into it, and the more story I can tell through it, you know. And yeah, that's I think that's what I'm learning to do, making this short film Yokai. You know, I'm trying to make sure every single detail, every single line, every single dialogue, every single action, every single piece of it is as exploding as possible, you know. And if I can accomplish this in 12 minutes, imagine the capability that I'll have to accomplish it in, say, 90 minutes, you know, part of the process. And yeah, and part of that, which leads me to my second thing that I'm learning, is character. And you know, as I'm learning about what kind of writer and director I want to be, I think, you know, I've been watching a lot of Japanese films, because the short film Yokai is based on Japanese culture and Japanese storytelling and Japanese art, and you know, the Japanese religion, animism, and that monotheistic thing. And the word yokai literally is, I think, something that's very human. It means strange and supernatural apparitions created by man to understand something that they can't. And I think that's fascinating. And their whole culture and religion is almost based on this word, you know, because I don't want to go too deep into it, but you know, it's, you know, the bubble that Japan had for 200 years of isolation. You know, it allowed their their religion and culture to grow in singularity. Um, and the word yokai and kami and the religion Shintoism was able to flourish, and even now into their pop culture because of it, you know. But yeah, anyways, I keep getting because that's how my mind works, but character is what I'm talking about, and the Japanese films that I've been watching that really changed the anatomy of my brain was Linda Linda Linda, which is free on YouTube, by the way, and I loved it. I loved the movie, and I loved the story of it, what it was trying to say, the images, the deadpan style, and the humor, and the main character. I'm forgetting her name, but it's played by Tuna Bay. My last name is Bay, so like I'm basically cousins with Tuna, the main actress in it. And she's a Korean exchange student who's living in Japan, who's figuring out how to adjust to her new life during this time in Japan where, you know, there's economic static and there's not really any hope for these kids in high school, and they don't really have any dreams and aspirations because it's almost like their future is doomed. So what's the point, you know? These are kids that are just trying to enjoy life and do the things that they love, which in this story is a fucking punk rock band, which is sick, by the way. And you know, she joins this band, and there's a language barrier, and it's funny because it almost seems like she's like autistic, a person with autism, whatever. And when I saw her, and I just connected with her character at such a deep level, because, you know, I am a son of immigrant parents. I'm Korean, living in America, and there was always this language barrier between me and my parents, and at school, and, you know, in both languages, both Korean and English, on both sides. And I feel like I also was an autistic child, and I feel like I'm even an autistic child now. So I laughed so much throughout that movie, and at the end, when they perform, it was just so cathartic to, you know, see them rock in a bleak world. And that's essentially what I'm doing, because this world is bleak, you know. It's a world full of suffering, but, you know, we're trying to make sense out of it, right? And we just need to rock. Just need to rock and do what we love. But anyways, speaking to, you know, Linda, and the filmmaker Koreda, who I've been watching. I'm in the process of watching his whole filmography and stuff, but through the films that I watched, like Afterlife and Maburishi, like, oh my god, like I'm in love with Koreda. Like, I'm traveling to Japan soon, and I'm gonna go to this one film store to like hunt for his posters and just like, I don't know, whatever I can find. But I love his style of storytelling and how he expresses grief through transience of time, and how people deal with it and their lives and all that. I can go on, but I won't. And that's when, like, watching these films and giving myself time and grace to take a step back and enjoy these movies has taught me, the story has shown itself to me that that's the visual language that this story wants to be. The short film Yokai, it's, I mean, other than the fact that it's deeply Japanese, I only feel like it feels right to tell it in that way. And even more so, battling with my producers about budget and stressing over that, you know, like the style that Japanese filmmakers had, deadpan, static shots, no crazy camera movements, blah blah blah, and all that, was a testament to the time, but also a tool that I think that just fit the story that they were telling. And that visual style that they have is perfect for the moments and character-driven narratives. And I don't know if I will continue to speak in that visual language as an independent filmmaker with no money to make these films, but it feels right, you know. And I want to continue, and I will continue to develop that language that I've learned with that, character-driven stories. And with character, that is what drives the plot. Characters are what we're talking about, and there's this deep connection. What I'm learning through developing my own characters, is that I'm also learning about my own character. I don't know. It's so meta. That's why I love filmmaking and the whole process of it, because I'm growing with this story, and the characters, obviously they're influenced by the things that happened in my life, but at the same time, all these characters are, and the stuff that I'm putting onto the page are a truth, and they're pieces of me, you know, scattered. An analogy that I think about in my head, how I conceptualize it, is like that episode of Rick and Morty where Morty is in that video game, and Rick goes in to try and save him from the video game, but Rick is scattered into 8 billion people, and 8 billion NPCs, and they're all the same person. And that is exactly what I feel I'm doing with my characters. But there's obviously a fine line between who the characters are and who I am. I think there's a really fine line, because they are me, but they're also not. And I think that's what I'm trying to learn to differentiate in order to tell my stories. And I think that's important. When I get to that point, I will speak about it. But yeah, I think, I've learned that about character and how important character is in character development through this whole process of writing yokai. So for my next project and for my feature film, my debut feature film as a writer-director, little hint to it. It's called Heart Eaters. I'm not gonna get too into it because it's very underdeveloped, but the name and the idea and the emotion is there. But I want to focus now. And now I know the first approach to how I want to tell my stories is starting with character. And the weakness of it, and weakness of characters, and their needs and their wants and their desires and their motivations, just as every single person at every single moment in each room, in each place, in each situation, in each time, also has that. We're all characters. And I don't know, through this whole process, you know, I am piecing together life. I'm piecing together humanity. I'm piecing together humans by trying to understand and through the process of creating my own characters. And that is fucking amazing. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, this is going on for a long time. I have 6%. I have 6% battery left, but let me try to think about what else I want to say. So what I'm trying to get at, right, is that it's all about life. The reason why people connect to movies and film as an art and the storytelling that it provides is we're all, you know, I think to a certain degree, people do go to movies to escape from reality, but I think what people are really trying to do is make sense of it. And when they're faced with the story and with the film that really provokes them, there's also a level of a call to action about an introspection into their own lives. And that's the beauty of art, right? You put out art out there, and it's an opportunity for the creator and the audience to merge together. And I have my own intentions and of what I want to tell with the story, my own philosophy. And through that, my audience members will take something out of it on their own, based on their own experiences, based on their own life. And I hope that they'll think about something, feel something about themselves, and affect them in conscious or subconscious way. And that's why movies and films are so powerful, because I'm literally, you as a filmmaker, you have to build the aesthetic emotion towards the aesthetic emotion and the philosophy that you're trying to speak, and it won't land unless there's truth to it, unless there's deep truth to what it means to be human, and behaviors and personality, and the climax and the ending and how it lands, you know. So yeah, I don't know, it's great, to be honest, and I love talking about this, and I think there's a lot more I want to talk about, but I think now I want to start writing my script. You know, I had a good run today at the cafe, and you know, I'm also, you know, I need to finish this book story by Robert McKee, but I'm really taking time to like absorb every single detail and every single thing that he says, but I also want to explore John Truby, and as a storyteller and as a filmmaker, and as a writer, because I think he has some gold that to share, and I want to absorb all of that. So I mean, there's constantly things that I want to do and want to say. So it's a process. I'm in the process, and yeah, thank you for listening to me. Jonathan, thank you for listening to me. Because you're probably the only one that's going to be listening to this. Probably not. I'm probably not going to listen to myself again. If I do, though, I hope wherever you are, that you're better, and better in the sense that your craft is more refined, and the stories that you tell and the characters that you build is stronger, and you're a better human and artist coming out of it each step along the way. Love the process, man, because that's what it's all about. This product, this is the process, so love it. Don't forget to love it. Yeah. All right, thank you for watching. See you guys next month.